Start?
Yes.
Okay. So one of you start. Yasmin, tomorrow you won't be there. So maybe you can start reading today.
Already
But
read.
I think we had read this para, but
Okay.
this can be only,
Huh.
and I think you did not explain it thoroughly. That's what I feel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes. It is
We
like
have
that.
read it.
Okay. So what we'll do, I'll read each sentence and then we'll discuss the sentences. Okay. So before we start, let me tell you what he has said in the previous paragraph so that we have the sense of continuity. Okay. So because this class is once a week, so we lose the link. So I'm I'm reading the summary of what he has said in the previous paragraph. Then we'll go to each sentence in the next one. When man enters the cosmic consciousness, leaving the body life mind behind as an empty house, subject to the stimulations of the universal mechanical force, Prakriti, he sees and experiences everything in terms of the infinite and the one. The finiteness, the multiplicity, and the separation are gone. But even the limitations and the ignorance begin to look different and take on quite other values. Even what you saw as negatives, now you start seeing that there is a great purpose behind all these seeming negatives and there is meaning to all these things. You start seeing in a different way. What is that? He will tell you now. Okay? So, for instance, ignorance. Ignorance we see as something negative, but now when you go to the self, you start seeing the ignorance appears to the cosmic man as a particularization of knowledge. It's a knowledge that is hiding itself and it is reducing itself to make it proportionate to the work to be done in the physical world. An infinite power cannot do small works. So the infinite power has to reduce itself to the proportion of which the work is to be done. Okay, we gave you the example of knocking a nail into the wall. If you use too much force, which is there at the highest level, then naturally the ball will break. Your work won't be done. So in and the physical world, however infinite it may seem to be, is actually very small compared to what the divine could have created at the highest level. So the world is, let us say, it may be infinite, but it's a small infinite. Therefore, the knowledge has to attune itself to the lower requirements in the physical world. Similarly, the other things. That's what he's saying here. Ignorance appears to the cosmic man when he is in the cosmic consciousness as a particularization of knowledge, a diminution, a concentration of some one aspect and relegating all the rest to the background of his awareness. Then, what about strength, power? Strength, weakness, incapacity appear to man as a putting forth of some aspect of omnipotence and holding back most other forms of Shakti. This is in order to manifest some limited aspects of the infinite Shakti. Then similarly, joy and grief, pleasure and pain now appear to him as a mastery and suffering of the divine delight. The divine delight has, when it reduces itself, it seems to be becoming some mastery and suffering. Okay, mastery and suffering. So this is what he is saying. It is a reduction, a purposeful reduction to suit the conditions in the physical world. Then his struggle, now bereft of dualities and disharmony, now when he is in the self, there are no dualities for him. And he was struggling in the physical world, now there is no struggle. His struggle, now bereft of dualities and disharmony, now seems to be various aspects of harmony and varied truths. All those things which seem to be opposites, now you see them as complementary aspects. Now, when man lives in the cosmic consciousness, he lives in the infinity and the eternity of the divine. Eternal also. You realize that your soul has always been there and will always remain. The body mind life is transitory in the physical world, but the soul is immortal. He does not suffer. the dualities and the disharmonies of the ignorance that so tormented him earlier in the physical world. All the dualities that are presented to man in the cosmic consciousness appear now as various values, all now placed in their right value and function in their rightful place. Like Mother says, everything in the physical world has got a meaning, but you have to find the right place for it. If you find the right place for it, everything becomes meaningful. Even those things which you feel are negatives. Okay? Man now sees no oppositions when he is in the self, no enmities, no hostilities, because it is a divine presence that is seen in all things. Judgment by mere appearance is now abolished. You don't judge people by their body, mind, life. You start judging them by their inner reality, which is the soul. Seeing the soul in all, the divine essence in everything, does not exclude the seeing of multifarious forms. It doesn't mean that you don't see the negatives. You see the negatives, but they are not negatives to you anymore. They are complementary aspects. That's what he's saying. You do see differences. Seeing the soul in all, the divine essence in everything, does not exclude the seeing of multifarious forms. But these external forms are now seen as of secondary importance. This possibility is there. Otherwise, you'll confuse different people and different. You will not be able to make out the difference between cats and dogs if you see only the reality. You see also the forms. The calm, peaceful man no longer experiences the happy and the unhappy, the beneficent and the maleficent, the oppositions that kill the spirit. As the Isha Upanishad says, Yasmin sarvani bhutani atma eva abhut. I am breaking the sandhi. Tasya ko moha kah shoka ekatvam anupashyata. The one who sees ekatvam, who sees unity everywhere, how can he have any sorrow or how can he have any moha? No delusion at all. That's what he said in the previous paragraph. So now we can read each sentence of the previous paragraph which we have read last time, and then we will discuss it. So when can this happen? When can you go to the cosmic consciousness and when can it happen? I am reading each sentence. But this can only be when there is perfection in the cosmic consciousness. And that is difficult for the mental being. The mental being, it's not very easy to see that. But this can only be when there is perfection in the cosmic consciousness, and that is difficult for the mental being. The mentality arrives at the idea or the realization of the spirit, the divine. The mentality, when it arrives at the idea or the realization of the spirit, the divine, tends to break existence into two opposite halves, the lower and the higher existence. You see a dichotomy between the two. This is usually what happens, and that's why you reject the lower. You see the two don't seem to have any connection, upper and lower. Upper hemisphere, lower hemisphere. Divine is divine and the world is undivine. Okay? In a certain way of speaking. It sees on one side the infinite, the formless, the one, the peace and bliss, the calm and silence, the absolute, the vast and pure. This is at the upper hemisphere. On the other side, I've added the word side. On the other, it sees the finite, the world of forms, the jarring multiplicity. The multiplicity is always jarring in the physical world. Difference of opinion, okay, difference of character, all these things are always there. The strife and suffering and imperfect, unreal good. Now that's a very interesting phrase. Suffering and imperfect, unreal good. Even what you feel is good, okay, it is not as good as you think. Yeah. One very easy example we can say, telling the truth is good, but you can use the telling of the truth in a very negative way to harm somebody. Truth is to be used for really good, but not for non-good. Okay, I can use truth. If I have an enemy and I want him to be in trouble and he has done something bad, I will tell the truth, but I will reveal what he has done bad. So we should not do that. So this is the unreal, the tormented activity, the futile success. Not that you may succeed in the physical world, but it doesn't help you in any way. However successful you are, you will always are open to pain and suffering. Okay, there is that famous phrase in English: "Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown." Yeah? That everybody knows that. Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. If the more wealth you have and the more glory you have, the more worries you have. The rich man is always worried that his wealth will be stolen. The poor man has no such problem. He has other problems. But if the poor man realizes the cosmic consciousness, it's totally different situation. Okay, the tormented activity, the futile success, they're relative, they're limited, and vain and vile. So on the one side you are seeing the vast and the infinite and pure, and on the other side you are seeing all this. Okay, you are seeing the finite, the world of forms, the jarring multiplicity, the strife and suffering and imperfect, unreal good, the tormented activity and futile success, the relative, the limited, and vain and vile. That's why you reject it. Okay. When you see this difference. To those who make this division and this opposition, complete liberation is only attainable in the peace of the one. Okay. You can get the peace, but you won't get the power, and the ananda may not be there. Okay. To those who make this division and this opposition, complete liberation is only attainable in the peace of the one. Complete liberation, not transformation, liberation only. You are free from the lower. In the featurelessness of the infinite, in the non-becoming of the absolute, non-becoming. You are not in the physical world. Becoming would be you are in the physical world. But you, if you want peace, you have to get away from the physical world. Non-becoming, get away from the become the non-becoming of the absolute, which is to them the only real being. The upper hemisphere is the only reality. The lower hemisphere is all negatives. So you get away from it. To be free, all values must be destroyed. All limitations, not only transcended, but abolished. Whatever is there in the physical world, whether it be true or false or everything, get rid of it. Because they are all relative. Even the truth is relative here. Even good is relative here. Get rid of both. But not only transcended, but abolished. If you are transcended, you don't necessarily abolish the lower. That's what Sri Aurobindo wants. You don't abolish the lower. But after having transcended, you come down and change the lower, not abolish it. I go to the next sentence. They have the liberation of the divine rest. Those who are rejecting the physical world. They have the divine rest. There is peace, but not the liberty of divine action. You don't, when you go to the self, you are immutable. You have peace. You have a sense of infinity and release. But you are unable to act in the physical world. Okay? And you don't want to also. Why do I want to go into an area which is full of imperfection and impurities? I don't care for it. That's the Mayavada philosophy and also the Buddhistic philosophy. Many, okay, they reject the lower. They enjoy the peace of the transcendent. Peace is there, but not the cosmic bliss of the transcendent. Bliss may not be there, power may not be there. Their liberty depends upon abstention from the cosmic movement. Their liberty depends upon rejecting body, mind, life and rejecting the lower values. Their liberty depends upon abstention from the cosmic movement. Cosmic movement, the lower. Okay? It cannot dominate and possess cosmic existence itself. It cannot. No power. You are immutable. And if you are immutable, necessarily no action, no power. But it is also possible for them to realize and participate in the immanent as well as the transcendent peace. This is, they are choosing to get away from that. But Srimad is saying that's not necessary. They have the option to come down also and even enjoy the transcendent peace also. Still, the division is not cured. So when do you cure the division? Only when you go to the supramental level. If you remain at the secondary level of the spiritual planes of consciousness, which we have defined as higher mind, element mind, intuitive mind, and overmind, these 4 planes, they are the spiritual planes. There, you will not, the division will not be cured. Even if you go to the overmind, which is the highest of the spiritual planes of consciousness, the division is not cured. You see both. You see the oneness and you see also, even if you see the reality of the physical world, they are different. Saguna, Nirguna, okay? They immutable and the mutable, they are different, they are not one. But when you go to the supramental level, the division is cured and they become one. Then you don't feel the necessity at all of rejecting the lower. The liberty they enjoy is that of the silent, unacting witness. Unacting. Not only he can't do it, but he is unwilling to do it. He doesn't even want to act in the physical world. He becomes only the witness. Calmly, quietly, I'm watching all the things in the physical world. Not the liberty of the divine master consciousness, which possesses all things, delights in them, casts itself into all forms of existence without fear of fall or loss or bondage or stain. So when you have the experience of the supramental, there is master consciousness. You get the power. You get the power. And you get also the ananda, which possesses, when you possess something, you are master of it. And therefore, you are master of your body, mind, life also. In fact, whole universe. You possess the whole universe. Delights in it. Casts itself into all forms of existence without fear of fall or loss or bondage or stain. Now, we'll expand a little on this sentence. If you are in the spiritual plane of consciousness, you feel yourself to be separate from body, mind, life. But even if you want to enter into the body, mind, life for some reason or other, okay, whatever the reason be, maybe your family is calling you for dinner, or maybe you are, there's a knock on the door if you are alone in the house, okay, you have to come down into a physical to open the door. Then you lose that consciousness, okay. You lose it. But when you go to the supramental level, even if you work in the physical world, you don't lose that consciousness. That's the difference between the overmind and the supermind. Without fear or loss of bondage or stain. All the rights of the spirit are not yet possessed. Where? In the cosmic consciousness. There is still a denial, a limitation, a holding back from the entire oneness of all existence. Now, I'll expand a little on this sentence because that's exactly what he says about Shankara. He says, Shankara admits the Upanishads. In other words, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahman, he accepts. What does it mean? It means that the physical world is Brahman. He is not saying that he is not a Mayavadin. He uses the word Maya in a different way. He has been misinterpreted, which now people are realizing. So, he is not saying the physical world is unreal. You are seeing it as unreal. That's another matter. But there is a difference. It is, there's still it, because that, which means to say that he would have gone up to the overmind level. And he is seeing the difference. Divine is there everywhere, but still there is a difference between the lower and the higher. All the rights of the spirit are not yet possessed. There is still a denial, a limitation, a holding back from the entire oneness of all existence. This sentence of 3 lines you can apply to Shankara. Okay? You see everything, but still you are not master. The workings of mind, life and body are viewed from the calm and peace of the spiritual planes of the mental being and are filled with that calm and peace. They are not possessed by and subjected to the law of the all-mastering spirit. This last sentence is telling you when you are in the overmind consciousness, this is what happens. And he put mind, life, body in capital letters. They are not unreal, they are real. Okay? The workings of mind, life and body are viewed from the calm and peace of the spiritual planes Spiritual planes, those 4 planes that we spoke about of the mental being, and are filled with that calm and peace. For Sri Aurobindo, it was calm and peace in the beginning. There was no ananda and no power. And they are not possessed by and subjected to the law of the all-mastering spirit. The all-mastering spirit, the supermind. Okay, very, very clear. So, in fact, I remind you, we have spoken many times about it. When Sri Aurobindo had the experience of the self and he was in Pondicherry and mother came here, they were still struggling. Only after mother came, he had the overmind experience. But he was trying to make that peace and calm even when he is in the body mind life, because he was never running away from body mind life. Remember, he was doing work for the liberation of the country. So how can he get away from body mind life? He can't. He is in the physical world, doesn't want to go also. But he is unable to bring down that peace and calm of the higher consciousness into the lower. That's why he wrote to mother, the heavens we have possessed, but not yet the earth. Okay? That's exactly what it means, that when my consciousness rises out of the body mind life, I experience calm, peace. But when my consciousness comes down to the body mind life again, like normal human beings, the memory of that peace is there, but not the reality of the peace. That's what I say. That can come only when the consciousness rises right up to the supramental being. Okay? Now we can read the next one. Huh?
Yeah, I will read. Okay.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
All this is when the mental being takes its station in its own spiritual planes, in the mental planes of Sat Chit Ananda, and casts down their light and delight upon the lower existence. But there is possible the attempt of a kind of cosmic consciousness by dwelling on the lower planes themselves after breaking their limitations laterally, as we have said, and then calling down into them the light and largeness of the higher existence. Not only spirit is one, but mind, life, matter are one. There is one cosmic mind, one cosmic life, one cosmic body. All the attempt of man to arrive at universal sympathy, universal love, and the understanding and knowledge of the inner soul of other existences is an attempt to be thin, to beat thin, breach, and eventually break down by the power of the enlarging mind and heart the walls of the ego and arrive nearer to a cosmic oneness. But if we can, by the mind and heart, get at the touch of the Spirit, receive the powerful inrush of the divine into this lower humanity, and change our nature into a reflection of the divine nature by love, by universal joy, by oneness of mind with all nature and all beings, we can break down the walls. Even our bodies are not really separate entities, and therefore our very own physical consciousness is capable of oneness with the physical consciousness of others and of the cosmos. The yogin is able to feel his body with all bodies, to be aware of and even to participate in their affections. He can feel constantly the unity of all matter and be aware of his physical being as only a movement in its movement. Still, more is it possible for him to feel constantly and normally the whole sea of the infinite life as his true vital existence and his own life as only a wave of that boundless surge. And more easily, yet is it possible for him to unite himself in mind and heart with all existences, be aware of their desires, struggles, joys, sorrows, thoughts, impulses, in a sense as if they were his own, at least as occurring in his large self, hardly less intimately or quiet, as intimately as the movements of his own heart and mind. This too is a realization of the cosmic consciousness.
Yeah. Okay. So he's giving another aspect of cosmic consciousness. So he has spoken about lateral. So it's very interesting. But we will first of all summarize what he's saying. So we have a total overall picture and then we'll go into details. That helps. Because if you otherwise if going into details without understanding the whole, there can be a problem. Now, so I'm reading out the summary. The cosmic consciousness is usually experienced in the spiritual planes of existence. In other words, higher mind, element mind, intuitive mind, overmind. When you go there, you normally get a cosmic consciousness. But remember that sometimes the cosmic consciousness is not there because three possibilities. When your mind, your consciousness rises to the self, you can either see the physical world as unreal, so that's not the cosmic consciousness, or you see the world as real and it's a cosmic consciousness, or you don't see the world as real, you see it as unreal, but you don't jump to conclusions like the Mayavadin and the Buddhist. Okay, so these three possibilities are there. Remember, the cosmic consciousness is usually experienced in the spiritual planes of existence, higher mind to overmind. But from those stations, the cosmic consciousness gets reflected in the lower planes of the spiritual planes, but also in the lower hemisphere. Okay, he's saying that. But the cosmic consciousness can also be experienced by a horizontal lateral expansion into the intraconscient. So you have to understand this. They have already said many times that you are the cosmos. You are everything in essence. You are a small grain of salt, but that grain of salt can dissolve and become the infinite ocean. Okay? So you are the whole cosmos. And what are you then? You are the superconscient, you are the inconscient, you are the subconscient, you are the intraconscient, and you are also the circumconscient all around you. But it has been you have been solidified into a body mind life, just like the grain of salt. Okay, but you can break that form and become infinite. So Sridhar is saying, and note the word horizontal lateral expansion. So in other words, without rising to the higher planes of spiritual planes of consciousness, you can go into yourself. You can also get a cosmic consciousness going into yourself. In other words, the psychic. When you go into the psychic, there can be a sort of cosmic consciousness. Okay, the entry into the intraconscient, which is also the subliminal, can be established by the breaking of the walls of the body, the vital, and the mind, and the ego. These are the walls that separate you. But these walls are not physical walls, but they are subtle physical walls. They are really walls, and you break them. I remember reading somewhere vaguely, I'm not 100% sure, that when these walls are broken, sometimes you can hear the subtle sound also of the break. Okay, but I'm just telling you that it can be so real. Okay, so they are walls. Then the cosmic consciousness from above can be invoked to descend into the lower regions by the psychic being. So then what happens? What happens then when the psychic being is experienced and you want to call down the higher into the lower? What happens? We must remember that matter is one. So too, the universal prana is one, and the mind plane too is one. Therefore, even in the lower planes of the lower hemisphere, the lateral expansion can achieve the cosmic consciousness by the union of the three separate universal planes with the individual consciousness. In other words, without rising to the higher spiritual planes, you experience your body as one with all bodies. You experience your prana as one with all others. You experience your mind also as one with all others. I'll give you two examples. Immediately you will understand what he's saying. A yogi is in cosmic consciousness this time. His body is the same everybody else's body. So This famous example is there when a bullock is being whipped 100 meters away, but that body of the bull is his own body, and he feels the pain, and not only he feels the pain, but even the lashes of the whip on the bullock appear on his own back. Okay, this is the cosmic consciousness. I'll give you two other examples, and then you'll see. There was a girl who was going to mother in a line. Okay, it was a blessings day, and there was a queue, and she is standing 5-6 behind 5-6 people, and mother was giving a red rose to everybody, and this child thinks she has told me herself. Okay, this story. And she's thinking, oh, mother may not give me a red rose, but it would be nice if she gave me a red rose. As soon as she goes to mother, she says, mother tells her, is that what you think? Okay, then here you are. And she takes a red rose and gives it to her. So her mind thoughts are mother's mind thoughts. Okay, there's no difference. This can happen, but for mother's case, it can happen intraconscient, it can also happen the superconscient. I'm just giving you the example of what is possible. Okay, so I'll give you another example which is not so pleasant. Okay, but again the same thing. One day in the playground, mother started vomiting. Okay, it's a very strange thing that happened. But later on, we came to know that she had identified with somebody in Golconda. Okay, it was a foreigner who was having a vomiting sensation, and that got transferred to mother because she is in a cosmic consciousness. Okay, this cosmic consciousness can be like that. In Srinivas says about cosmic consciousness, you experience the exhilaration of the tiger jumping on the deer, but you also experience the pain of the deer being attacked. So that's a cosmic consciousness in the first phase. Okay. So this is what I gave you several examples. So laterally, when you expand without going into the spiritual planes of consciousness, there can be a sort of cosmic consciousness. It can translate itself in these examples. Okay. Now.
So Rangada, I have a question that even a common man like us, when my own consciousness is not so widen up or not so higher up, so I also feel the pain, same type of pain sometimes, like I can also experience.
You can't.
The pain and suffering of somebody else, of deer.
Okay, that's a feeling, but that's not the real experience. We can have sympathy with others, no? But sympathy is not what he's talking about. I remember I told you about the lashes. So it goes that far. Sympathy for somebody else and understanding his pain is something else. Okay, here it's a very interesting question. I'll tell you. Suppose I see a man being whipped or even a dog, okay? I feel terrible, okay? Okay, I feel terrible. But what is that? Is that the cosmic consciousness? No. For the normal man, I'm talking of the normal man. So what is it? It's the vital, lower vital shrinking from something which it does not like. You will understand what I'm saying as soon as you put the situation of Arjuna in yourself. He is shrinking away from the killing that he is going to do. It's a nervousness. It's a physical nervousness which is saying, no, I can't do this. This is not the cosmic consciousness. Okay? So what does Sri Krishna tell him? This is a lower consciousness that you are acting in. Rise to the self, and there you will feel that the work that has to be done will be done. It won't be a nervous reaction. It will be a true understanding of the work to be done. At that time, you will not feel the withdrawal, this shrinking from what you are doing, you will not feel. The shrinking is not cosmic consciousness. So the question is a very valid one, what you said, because I can very well feel the pain, okay? We can all feel the pain of somebody suffering, no? We feel the pain, but that's not the cosmic consciousness. The cosmic consciousness, remember the lashes appearing on the body of the yogi, okay? It goes as far as that. It becomes a reality, a physical reality, okay? I remember once I was coming from somewhere in the street and there was a man having a an epileptic fit. I don't know if any of you have seen epileptic fits, but I saw once, and that was painful enough. He had fallen down on the pavement and he was shaking all over. Violently, he was shaking like that. Okay. So I also stopped, but somebody else had an idea, and they had an idea that, and I don't know if it is true. Maybe Archana will be able to tell me if it is true. If you give an iron uh, a key, a large key or something metallic to the person and ask him to hold it, then the shaking stops. This fit stops. I don't know if it's a fact, but there can be a a physical explanation that it's an electrical phenomena. That's why you shake like that. It's the brain giving wrong signals and then you shake like that. But then this iron in your hand, maybe it grounds it, like earthing. Huh? All wires and all that, very often we earth it. Yeah? So that maybe it is working in that way. But you feel a terrible pain when you see this sort of a thing. But that is not the cosmic consciousness. So it was Shilpa or Pallavi who asked that question? Shilpa, na? Anyway, so this is the thing. Okay, there is a difference between the two. It's not sympathy. It is something real. Okay? The cosmic consciousness.
Hello?
Yes, tell me.
Hello?
Yes, yes.
You know, if you tend to feel pain of others like the bullock and lashings and all, don't you think it's better to be little ignorant than to go higher up and experience all these pains?
Yeah, that also is an interesting question, Yasmin, because that can easily become indifference. Now, sympathy should not become indifference. You should feel the pain of others without being affected yourself. If you are affected, then you are weak. But if you get away from it and become indifferent to it, then it is grossness and it is insensitivity. Now think about it, it's a very interesting question. Okay, you should be able to feel the pain without being affected yourself. If you are affected, then you are weak. But if you don't feel the pain of others, you are insensitive. You see, everything has got a middle path. It's a very interesting situation, the discussion that we are having. It should neither be total indifference, which can easily go into cruelty also. Okay, indifference should not be there, but there should be a sympathy, but that sympathy should not degrade itself into a weakness. Very difficult, but that's exactly what. Tell me.
This is not a one way, no. Even what mother has felt for that Golkund person, that vomiting, that dear one means it was a two-way. He was also so much devotee, and that's why she felt that, no. It is not a one way. Because we are all devotees of mother. If anything happens to so many ashramites, 200, 300 ashramites at that time, and so every time mother feels this type of experience, then it is something bad, no?
Okay. So what you're raising again, another question, okay? The cosmic consciousness has got 3 levels, okay? Otherwise, as you said, 300, 400, 1000 ashramites, and everybody is feeling, she is feeling at the same time, it will be a total disaster for her. So
Yes.
there is a capacity at the slightly higher level to allow things to come into yourself, okay? So when you focus on something, that will come into you. Okay? So that is, that is the thing. That's the second level. The first level of consciousness, yes, you feel the pain of others also, and it can be real, like the lashes on the body. But in the second one, you may feel the lashes, but you will not be affected. Okay. And at the third level, you have even the power to cure the suffering of others. So the cosmic consciousness is like that. Let me tell you something interesting, because this also is interesting, but you should not misunderstand. I'll try and explain to you. Mother told us in the press, okay, please don't get into arguments and quarrels with certain people, okay. And she said, when that, she sent a word through Andre, her son. Andre, her son used to come to the press regularly because he was a management expert in industry. He used to look after Carbon Lauren. He was quite high up. And he gave Praveen a job. Okay. So he was, and mother used to send him to all the departments to look into their workings. So he used to come to the press, and one day he told us, don't get into argument with these people because their reactions are so strong against me, mother said, okay, that my body is hit very badly. Okay. So now remember, mother is in the cosmic consciousness, she is in the spiritual planes of consciousness, but the body is not yet transformed. Okay. Remember that. She was in the process of transforming the body. So she says that that is what happens. Okay. So please avoid getting into arguments and having quarrels with 3 people. All the 3 are dead now. In some places I've taken names, but I won't take the names here. All of them are gone. So there's no problem. Anyway, so this is what, so cosmic consciousness is something very interesting. Okay. So the cosmic consciousness in the spiritual planes is a little different from the cosmic consciousness in the intra-conscient. Slightly different. But both are possible. That's what Sri Aurobindo said. Okay. I'm still reading the summary now. We have reached 7:34. I'll finish reading the summary. Okay. And then next time we will go into the details. Okay. But the cosmic consciousness can also be experienced by horizontal lateral expansion into the intraconscient. The entry into the intraconscient subliminal can be established by the breaking of the walls of the body, the vital and the mind, and the ego. Then the cosmic consciousness from above can be invoked to descend into the lower regions by the psychic being. What happens then? We must remember that matter is one. So too, the universal prana is one, and the mind plane too is one. Therefore, even in the lower planes of the lower hemisphere, a lateral expansion can achieve the cosmic consciousness by the union of the 3 separate universal planes with the individual consciousness. So that's what we discussed. My mind can see the other's thoughts. They become my thoughts. My vital can feel the pain and the pleasures of others. Even the body can feel the pain of others to the extent of even physical reactions. Okay? The expansion of the mind can allow access to others' thoughts. Similarly, the emotions of others can be sensed by the yogin in his individual being by his higher vital being. The entry into the subtle physical permits the yogin to feel the sensation of others around him. This can go to such an extent that the yogin can feel on his back the whiplashes given to an animal some distance away. This is the cosmic consciousness in the intra-conscient. Okay, we stop here today, and next time we will do this in detail. So let's know.
Hello.
That. Yes, tell me. Tell me.
You know, Amal could read our thoughts. That means he went into the cosmic consciousness and he could feel what I was thinking.
If he could, yes. And
yeah,
that,
he could read thoughts.
Okay, but that can be.
It was very scary at times.
Okay.
Because you are like a totally open mirror and you can't think anything wrong because the other person knows exactly what you are thinking.
Yes, I understand. Okay, but there is one thing. Was it permanent in him or was it temporary? Is a question that comes up. Okay, it can be temporarily also, you can experience it, but it has to become permanent. Huh? So that's what is a question. Oh, because his mind was very, very active. Okay, so we know that now his mind was highly active, and that can be a big
obstacle.
Yeah, obstacle. That's right. All this, redo all this. Okay, that's it.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Rangada. Have a nice day, Tulamon.
Thank you for everybody. Thank you.